In this video, I want to go over how to install Alice. So if you go to alice.org and under Downloads, you see the link for Get Alice 3.1. That's what you're going to need to use for this class. Make sure you're not, I don't think you can get to the Alice 3 beta anymore, and we don't want Alice 2 because that's like a totally different package. Once you get to the Download Alice 3.1 page, let me point out one thing you're going to need to run Alice on your own machine, and that is Java. If you don't have Java, and if you're not sure, you can go ahead and install Alice 3.1, and the first time you try to run it, it'll say can't find Java, and you'll know you don't have it. If you want to go ahead and download it, down here under Problems Installing Alice 3.1 System Cannot Find Java, if you click on that, it gives you instructions for how to actually install the Java JDK, which is what you're going to need. There's a link up here, Java for Windows, and it gives you instructions for what you're going to need to do to install Java. I'm going to try it right here, see if it works. This computer might already have Java installed on it. You notice there's a link up here to Oracle. Oracle purchased Java a few years ago, so Java is owned by them now. So if you click on that link, right, you get the Oracle page with the Java SE downloads, and if you look back at the page we were just at, you'll see that you need to go to Java Platform Standard Edition under JDK and click on the download link. Okay, so Java Platform Standard Edition, JDK, click on download. Don't do the JRE, you want the JDK. Okay, so click on download, and now you're given a whole group of choices under Java SE Development Kit 7U11, that's version 7, update 11. You want to accept the license agreement if you want to read it. I think there it is, but you have to accept it. And then if you go down through all these choices, I don't know if you're running Linux or if you're running a Mac OS. Unfortunately, you're kind of on your own because I've never used Alice on either of those platforms. You're probably not running Alice on a Solaris. You're probably running it on a Windows x86 or x64. Of course, the x64 is the 64-bit version. The x86 is the 32-bit version. You'll need to figure out what kind of machine you've got. And I think it's generally recommended, if you don't know, go with the 32-bit version, which is the x86. Okay, I've got a 64-bit machine here, so I'm going to do the 64-bit, but you need to do whatever's appropriate for your machine. What you're going to do is go over here to the link. There's the one for the 32-bit, there's the one for the 64-bit. Click on the one that you need. Now I'm running Chrome here, so what it's actually going to do is give me a download in the lower left-hand corner of my browser, and when that's finished, I can execute it. If you're running Internet Explorer, I think it's going to pop up with the question, do you want to run or save this? You can go ahead and run it, and what it'll do, it'll download it, and as soon as it's finished, it'll actually execute the installer. Either way is fine. And then if you're running Firefox, I think it has kind of a totally different setup, but it'll download it first and then give you the option of if you want to run it. So however your browser handles this, get the package, then I just click on it here, and over the other screen I'm going to get this. Right, and you don't want to make changes, yeah, because I want to install this. Okay, pull this over so you can actually see it. Alright, so I get the Java Welcome to the Installation Wizard for Java SE Development Kit 7 Update 11. Yeah, I'm going to do that next. And I think all the defaults are fine here. It's going to install the parts that you're going to need. And hopefully this won't take too long. There it is. Yeah, it looks like I may have had Java before, because it was removing some files and adding some new ones. And that's okay. Even if you had a version of Java, this, might be worthwhile doing an update. And I'm not sure, I haven't looked at Alice 3 to see which version of Java it really needs. So it could be possible that you have an older version of Java and Alice needs a newer version. Part of the reason for this, though, is kind of in the background. Alice is actually developing programs in Java and running them in Java. It's just the front end of Alice uses this kind of animation development package. Okay. I've got another window that's popped up somewhere else. Here. Okay, so it's asking me where I want to install to. That's fine. I'll go with the default. And this is usually the little advertisement you get when it's actually installing. So we'll give it a second. Let's see what it does. There we go. When that gets finished, here it goes. Since we're going to use the file. I think this is the last step, though, when the screen is finished. You're not paying by the byte for this download. Maybe you can fast forward to where something exciting actually happens. Hey, there we go. All right, it's asking me if I want to register. I'm not going to actually register this. So I'll close that. Now I've got the JDK installed. And it's asking me if I want to register, and I don't want to mess with that. All right, what I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to go back to my Alice page and back up. All right, so I'll get back to the downloads page. All right, if you didn't back up, I guess you could just go to alice.org again. Right, downloads, get Alice 3.1. Now that we've got the Java JDK on, now you're going to download and install Alice. There's two groups of choices. There's the online installer and the offline. The online installer basically downloads a small package that then pulls the rest of it off the web. The offline installer is going to download the entire package. It takes longer, but you could download that, put it onto a thumb drive, and then take it over to another machine and install the whole thing if the machine didn't have internet access or something like that. If you've got fast internet access, you're probably better off just doing the online installer. And again, excuse me. Again, you're going to choose Windows, Mac, or Linux installation, depending on what you've got. I've got Windows, so this just takes a second to get the installer. And once it's downloaded, I can click on that. Okay, again, it's going to ask me, do I want to make these changes? Yes. Let's back over here. Okay, so then you get this Alice 3 installer wizard. Click next. I want to install it. I want to install the Alice application, so I'll click next. I accept the license agreement. Next. Install Alice to that location is fine. I'll hit next. You can look over these, but these should all be correct. And it's going to set up the installer, and notice now it's downloading the rest of the package from alice.org. Right, so that's what I said. It puts a small installer on your machine, and now it's going to pull the rest of Alice from the actual website. So again, this requires continued internet access, which I assume most of you have, but I've run into machines that didn't have good internet access. And so what I did is I went to like the library, which had a really good internet connection. I did the offline installer and downloaded the entire Alice package, put it onto a thumb drive, and then I took that to the machine that had really bad internet access and installed the whole thing off the thumb drive. Again, for some of you that might be a possibility if you've got really bad internet access at home. For a long time I had nothing but dial-up at my house, so I would download it onto a thumb drive while I'm in my office and then take it home and install it that way. Alright, so this is up to about 40%. It's kind of a large package. I'm surprised that it got this big. The previous versions weren't quite as large. But the Alice 3.1, the final release of I guess the full implementation of Alice 3 came out in fall 2012. Up until then, there was a Alice beta floating around, and so if if you got this installed, or you go to a school computer or something like that, take a look at what's actually there. It may still be the Alice 3 beta, and you really don't want to use that, because the programs you create in Alice 3 beta are not compatible, unfortunately. I'm not sure why, but they're not compatible with the full implementation of Alice 3.1, which is what you're getting here. So the problem is, if you do something in the beta, you won't be able to then put it over into the full implementation, or vice versa. So avoid the beta at all costs. We ran into a problem in class last fall with the beta was out at the beginning of the semester, and then like right into the first couple weeks of the semester, the full implementation came out. So half my students were still using beta and half of them were using full implementation. They couldn't bring their programs into school because they wouldn't work on the school's machine, and vice versa. It was a big hassle. So just watch. It's going to create an icon on your desktop which will say Alice 3, and the old beta version created one that said Alice 3 beta, so you ought to be able to tell which is which. Do install a gallery. These galleries are just tons of objects, humanoids and animals, and all kinds of things that you can use in these programs you're going to create. I don't want to tell you too much about what Alice looks like yet until I can actually pull it up. But what you're going to be doing is programming objects, and those objects, there's a whole group of humanoid objects and animals and carnival rides and buildings and all kinds of stuff that you can put into a world and you can animate. And I guess maybe now that it's done, I was going to say, so a couple quick things about Alice. But Alice was originally designed as kind of a graphics design and animation package, which some people from Carnegie Mellon realized had the potential to become a really nifty teaching tool for computer programming. And so, even though it was originally designed for one purpose, they kind of repurposed it and really pushed the programmability side of it. And so the idea is that you've got an environment where you can create programs without having to worry about, typing in commands and getting the syntax right. So you, as you're learning how to program, all you have to do is think about the design of programs and the logic of programs, and you don't have to worry about, if the statement to display something on the screen, is it print, is it output, is it display, who cares, right? You'll see there's programming in Alice is all click and drag, so it's made very, very easy for the student who wants to get started learning how to program. All right, at this point, it should be installed. You should see, and I've got one that's on my other screen, but an Alice 3 icon on your desktop. If it's not, hopefully it's under the Start menu. But now we can get started.